below the grandstands at the 20-yard line exits. There is also a family and disabled accessible restroom on the north end of the grandstand, around the corner from the accessible ramp. All right, we request that you please deposit.
Lane Tech homecoming football is on the air. It's time for Lane Tech to take on the Hubbard Greyhounds. Off to one of their hottest starts in recent history. It's a 2-0 record for Lane Tech. They'll look to make it 3-0 this afternoon as they take on a winless Greyhounds squad. This Hubbard team has struggled in their first 2 games, but they are looking to get back on track during today's Red crossover action. All 6 teams in the Red North Conference for the Public League will be taking on the 6 teams from the Red South Conference, and this is actually game 1 today. All the other games are starting later, so both these squads are going to be trying to represent their side of the city well here as we see the captains walk towards midfield here for the coin toss. We'll see who wins and who's going to kick off to start off tonight's matchup. We are expected to have a 12 p.m. first kick. I don't know if that's actually going to happen because today we have the band and everyone here basically who performs, so we might have a slightly prolonged pregame festivities, but we should be getting going in just a couple of minutes as we see the captains meeting at midfield right now. The 4 captains for Lane Tech this year: number 9, Giannis Katsogradakis; number 55, James Wynn; number 24, Finn Merrill; and number 81, Casey Joyce. You see them right now from right to left on your screen. They'll be meeting against the 3 captains for the Hubbard Greyhounds, who we can't see right now, and I don't have them marked on my roster, but we'll try to get you those soon. It's definitely a smaller team for Hubbard than for Lane Tech. At first it looked like they had almost no players. A couple more came, so they have a decent-sized team, but Lane Tech definitely is going to have the numbers advantage in tonight's game, and we'll see how that plays out as an advantage for them during tonight's contest. As we see both the squads right now are going to shake hands, and I think that should mean we're ready to go with action in just a couple of minutes. Lane Tech, their offense has been all rushing this year. I'm not sure they have completed a pass yet. They might have completed one last game, but it has been almost completely rushing with their wing T offense. Most of the teams coming in and play Lane, they know what to do. They know what they are coming up against. But last week, TS South knew what exactly Lane Tech was going to run. They just could not stop it. A big part of that is because the O-line play we have seen from Lane Tech this season, led by number 74, Suleiman Butt, and number 55, James Wynn, one of the captains we just mentioned. They have been giving all the holes needed for Finn Merrill, Casey Joyce. We've seen some action from Spiro Memos. All the guys who have been running up the middle, Giannis Katsogradakis, they've had great help from the offensive line so far this year, and that's going to be the key to the game for Lane Tech here today. If they can create some holes, they're probably going to also have the size advantage in tonight's game. So if they can get that going, they can have the size advantage and their O-line can perform. This could be an easy win for Lane Tech. As we mentioned, there's been some struggles for this Hubbard team to start off the year. They've yet to score a point. They lost by 47 to Grays Lake Central, and then last week they had a rough loss to Highland Park. As we see the Lane Tech team come onto the field right now. It is homecoming, so a lot of fans here decked out in their green and gold. Should be a great atmosphere here on homecoming. This is actually the second homecoming game we have seen here today at Lane Stadium. Earlier this morning, we saw the Lane Tech girls flag football team have a big win against the Sen Bulldogs, 36-0. So pressure's on the tackle football team now to keep that winning going as the last of the Lane Tech players come through the tunnel here, and they're going to go do a couple of warm-ups on the field, and then we'll be ready for kickoff in just a couple of minutes. One of the keys for Lane Tech this year has actually been their kicking. Last year, there was some struggles with the kicking. They had some missed points, some missed field goals that really almost costed them games. This year, it's been so much more consistent. They've switched to, they've moved Simon Olsen off the point after attempts and field goals. He's instead been punting and kicking, and he's done a good job at pinning the opposition back so far this year. And then they've moved Mugdam Creo, a senior, into the point after attempts and the field goals. So far this year, he has only missed one. It was a blocked field goal, but he's made a field goal. I think he has 6 point after attempts. Lane Tech has been very consistent kicking-wise, which is something we have not seen in a little while out of this Lane Tech squad. It's kind of just like everything's been coming together perfectly for Lane Tech as they look to get off to a 3-0 start. This is kind of the end of their non-conference schedule. They'll have a couple of non-conference games later this year, but this is really the end of the start of play for Lane Tech. Next week, they get into conference action against Taft, and from there, the schedule really ramps up as Lane Tech looks to contend in the Red North. The first season they have this Red North Conference. Lane Tech is the only undefeated team right now in the conference. Phillips is kind of put an asterisk next to them. They're the only 0-2 team, but they've played a much tougher schedule. But Lane played a tough team in TF South. They got the win over Amundsen. They have 2 victories here so far this season, and that's been big for them. They're going to have an early lead in the conference standings, and we'll see if they can stick with that as we see some of the JROTC members here from Lane Tech with the flags at midfield. I'm not sure if we are doing the national anthem or not today. If we do, we will turn it to the band to do that. If not, we will just get started in just a couple of seconds as the starters are going to come onto the field for both of these squads. And looks like we are going to do the national anthem, so we'll turn you to that, and we'll be back in just a second for kickoff here from Lane Stadium.
Sideline and ask all to please rise or remain standing. Kindly remove your hats and help us honor America with the playing of the national anthem.
And with that, it is time for some football here from Lane Stadium. Home game number 2 of the year for Lane Tech. They'll look to keep their undefeated record going against the Hubbard Greyhounds, who are searching for their first win of the year. Thank you so much for joining us. My name's Alex Burstein, right above the 50-yard line here at Lane Stadium. It is a beautiful day for football. It looks like it is going to be Lane Tech kicking off to start off this game. It'll be Simon Olson kicking, and a couple players back here for the Greyhounds. Looks like that's going to be number 6, J. Smith, and I can't quite catch. Looks like that is number 8, DeAndre Shelby. So the 2 lowest numbers on this squad for Hubbard will be their 2 receivers back for this kickoff. We'll see what Lane Tech can do here. 12 minutes on the clock, and they are switching sides now, so I guess Lane Tech's going to kick off to the north end zone now, not the south end zone, and then we will have the Hubbard Greyhounds in their white uniforms going from right to left across your screen. Lane Tech in their green uniforms with yellow helmets going from left to right on your screen when they are on offense. So a little bit of a switch there, but now we look like we are ready to go for kickoff here. 12 minutes on the clock, 0s on the scoreboard, and we'll talk about that more in a second, but we do have our brand new Chicago Public League scoreboard here today. Very exciting. This is the first time, I think, in my entire career at Lane Stadium that I have seen a football game where we're actually going to be able to read the score as we're underway here with the kickoff. Shelby running it back, gets to around the 20-yard line, breaks a couple of tackles, brings the pile with him, and he's going to get all the way down to the 26, so it'll be about 76 yards to go to start off this game for the Hubbard Greyhounds. We did not get word ahead of time who their quarterback is, so we will get that in a second. Nice crowd on hand for this Lane Tech team. We have the cheerleaders and band for Hubbard on the other side alongside the Lane Tech band, so very nice showing here for both of these teams. Also, I should mention the Hubbard cheerleaders on the sideline, and then I guess that's the dance team in the stands. They're going to set the ball at the 26-yard line, it looks like, and it'll be 1st and 10 for the Greyhounds here. We'll see in a second who's back on defense for them. There's a couple of very impressive performances defensively for Lane Tech last week, led by senior first-year football player Zach Joshua, who clinched the game with a interception, but the whole game he was strong. Forced a fumble, 7.5 tackles. He had 3 tackles for loss. It was a very impressive game for Joshua, and he'll try to keep that going here this afternoon as we're ready for our first play of the afternoon from the line of scrimmage. A bunch of guys back here for the Greyhounds. It looks like everyone to the right of the quarterback as this one snapped and going for a couple yards here. That's going to be the quarterback number 15, Shamar Washington. Washington, just a sophomore. There's a good mix of sophomores, juniors, even a couple of freshmen and seniors on this Hubbard team. That one was taken to the 31-yard line, so we'll go for a 5-yard gain. I was not able to see any film on this Hubbard team ahead of time, so I'm not really sure what the difference is in their rush versus passing plays. You know, Lane Tech is going to be running the ball almost exclusively here today with their wing T offense, as with 11:11 on the clock. Washington gets ready for his second snap of the game. This one, it looks like a little bit of a wildcat. They snap it to the running back along the edge. A nice run here and tackled down by Joyce here around the 50. An excellent run there by number 10, Eris Bolter. So it was a little bit of a trick play there by the Greyhounds. They had it, Washington, who's the QB for this team, lined up right behind and looking like he was going to take the snap. Instead, they gave a direct snap to their running back, Eris Bolter, the junior, who runs for 14 plus 3, 17-yard gain here. And now the Greyhounds will have it in the Lane Tech half a field with just 2 plays under their belt here. So they're going to have 1st and 10 here from the Lane Tech 47. Just about as good of a start as you can get here for Hubbard. We'll see if they can keep it going here. Shotgun formation, running back to his right here for Washington. This time snaps it, tried to hand it off there. It got fumbled, but I think Washington was able to get his hands on it, but no! Giannis Katsakadakis ended up with the ball. We'll see what they mark it here. It looked like the ball was at the bottom of the pile. Somehow, Katsakadakis emerged with it, and I think they're going to mark the ball down there before anything happens. So they're going to go to 2nd and 10 now from the 47-yard line, so a 0-yard gain. There was a couple of things that could have gone wrong there. They had a awkward pitch. They didn't do it, and then Washington kind of went up the middle, just lost the ball, and I'm not sure who came up with it at the bottom of the pile, but it was one of these it was one of these Hubbard players, so they will keep it, and it looks like they actually moved the ball back a yard, so it's going to be 2nd down and 11 now from the 48-yard line. First loss of yardage on a play for the Greyhounds, who, as we mentioned, are looking for their first win of the season. Washington rolling to his right, rushing, gets to about the 45, and that should be good for a 3-yard gain here. So, a lot of rushing plays early on, and we've yet to see a true passing play from these Greyhounds. And it looks like we have a flag on the field. See who it's against. Lane Tech's clapping, so I think it might be against the Greyhounds here. They're going to call holding against the Greyhounds, so we'll repeat 2nd down, and we'll see how far they move it back based on where that holding was. That's going to move them all the way back to their own 43-yard line, so a big loss of yardage there for Hubbard, who had everything going in their momentum. They almost fumbled it away, and then the very next play, they commit a holding penalty, so now it's going to be 2nd down and 16 yards to go. That's what the scoreboard has. I think it's more like 2nd down and 20 yards to go here for the Greyhounds. Last year, This is actually kind of a revenge game for Hubbard. Lane Tech ended their season last year in round 1 of the city playoffs as Washington looking a lane player behind him and is forced to throw it away. That was some very nice pressure there by number 73 for Lane Sack.
Third down.
It's going to be big for Lane Sack here. I believe that's Oliver Sevick there, just trying to get as many players as possible under pressure. Or I should say getting the quarterback under pressure as much as possible, because we see early on he likes to run it. And now it's going to be 3rd down and long here for the Greyhounds. 3rd down and 20 as they look to somehow complete this 3rd down and long yardage. One of the keys for Lane Tech's offense this year has been avoiding these long 3rd down conversions. We have not seen Lane Tech have a lot of 3rd and longs, 4th and longs so far this year. The defense, meanwhile, has forced a decent amount of 3rd and longs, 4th and longs, and we saw that penalty really helped out Lane Tech there. So we'll see if it does the same here for the Hubbard Greyhounds. 8:41 on the clock here, quarter number 1. Fans still filing into Lane Stadium. Washington under shotgun takes it, rolling to his right. Seems like he really likes to go to his right here. Gets around a couple of guys, and this is going to be a tackle. A couple of guys got hands on him there. I think making the final tackle there was, looks like Gavin Cole there got up last. But either way, there'll be a sack. They're going to move him back a couple more yards, and now it's going to be 4th down, and we'll see the first punt of the day here for Hubbard. It's going to be Finn Merrill back to receive, and looks like it's going to be number 40, Cedric Rodriguez kicking the punter here today for the Greyhounds. It's going to be the second special teams play we have seen here today. The Greyhounds had a good a good return on their kickoff return earlier on this game. We'll see what their special teams defense can do. This one snapped over the head of Rodriguez. This one goes all the way back to the 1-yard line, and Lane Tech is going to have 1st and goal. The snap just way too high over the head of Cedric Rodriguez. A good job there by Rodriguez to fall on the ball, and we see a penalty flag all the way back at the 36-yard line, it looks like. We'll see what the call is. Lane Tech has a really good opportunity here. They're going to say false start against Lane Tech, and that is a heartbreaker there. That should go all the way back, and they're going to redo the punt. So Lane